Hi, welcome to the Engage2 YouTube channel. My name's Amelia Loye. I'm the Managing Director of Engage2. We help governments understand, engage and work with communities. And today I'm very pleased to have with me Aaron Bernard. Aaron, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So Aaron is the founder of Spatial Media, which is a company that specializes in virtual and augmented reality for government engagement. Aaron, tell me a little bit about yourself and the company. Why did you start this company?
Yep, no worries at all. So again, thanks for having me. Spatial Media was founded by myself and a couple of partners in 2014. And we are a visual communications company. So by that token, we generally use everything from videos to augmented reality, virtual reality, and make interactive engagement portals. And what that really does, we've been doing those a lot in the space for EIS, environmental impact statements, and REFs. And what it does is it takes the traditionally quote unquote boring and cumbersome materials, 8,000-page document in a library that someone has to go read, and takes it into a usable form. In my opinion, where everything is digitized, it's on the web, it's designed for people who have really no time to find, read through that information. They put in their address and they find what they're looking for straight away. So we started it really as fans of tech. I sort of come from the theme park world. I work for Universal Studios and Walt Disney World Company, and also NASA back in the States. So we were designing these sort of elaborate, rides and shows, and again, even with space and NASA, some really complex ideas, and distilling them down for the masses. So we'd have 65 million people come through, Orlando a year. So what we were designing were these experiences and ways of communicating that information. Now, again, that was entertainment, but in my head, we could do that same thing for something as boring as a road or a rail or a bridge, because these things actually affect people. It's all well and good for the entertainment side, but the space that we're in now is, I thought, why can't we, drive the new road virtually or see what it's going to look like? Or if there's a new tower going up, when am I going to lose my, view? When are the shadows going to fall? So we just developed these tools with our interactive 3D program, our interactive 3D, and those sit at malls right now. So we've had some for Western Harbour Tunnel Beaches Link and Sydney Airport, where people could go and have a giant touchscreen just like you see at the mall, but they could interact with this the model and sort of see the future.
Ah, so cool, Aaron. Like, you're designing digital experiences to make this stuff a bit more entertaining and interesting for people. I mean, we've got to learn how to do that if we're going to get people's attention. And I just want to pick up on two things that you said. It sounds like you're doing digital in place, so in shopping centers and things like that. So bringing digital engagement offline, as well as doing these interactive engagement portals online, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. So it's actually twofold. The portals are available on every device, all devices, anywhere. Again, the idea there is you put in your address because you're the most important person on the planet, and then you decide, using that interactive tool, you click a little button and it says, well, how will flooding affect me? How will biodiversity, what's going to be changing around? Where are the construction spoil routes for this new road that's going to be going in? And that way you don't have to call anyone, you don't have to ask these questions. You can discover this on your own. And my personal opinion is, I don't necessarily want to be told or fed that information. I want to find out for myself. It's sort of a choose your own adventure and see how those projects affect you. So that you can do on any device. And then in the malls and shopping plazas, you can do that. Register your interest, talk to the team, and then hit another button which takes you into the full 3D space. So you can engage with those tools and touch around on those devices. So we create interactive 3D fly arounds and stand on a corner and look around and see those devices, see what the changes are going to be. If you can't make it to the shopping plazas, we do send out these little VR kits as well. So we've designed these ones. This one here specifically is for Roads and Maritime Services, and you can put in your phone, and then this way it allows you to see the future and see exactly what it's going to look like. You can plug in your address, click a picture, and then look at it on YouTube just like that. So the idea is to get people engaged with these, like I said, traditionally boring things, but things that are very, very important. But ultimately, it's about them having the opportunity to have their say. So again, if they can't make it to those events, they can go online, they can easily click a button, I don't like it, no comment, or they can get in very deep with it and leave specific feedback for the teams. And what we found, especially with the digital AIS, is that it's saving the Department of Planning and so on about 90% of just, rote sort of quote unquote wasted time, where traditionally an EIS would go out that would have, say, 10,000 submissions. They're now getting 150 or 800 submissions, and they're targeted instead of the same questions over and over. Well, how far is it from my house? How's it good? All those things, all those questions are already answered. So by that token, the department specifically is saying, look, that's saving us 3-4 months of just time, where those now engagement officers can be, you know, answering more targeted questions and be used appropriately for their, you know, for their scale.
Yeah, there's certainly something to be said by being able to visualize change and to see where you fit into it. And you're obviously designing those experiences for all types of users, you know, the kings and queens among us, as well as the homeowners. We're the center of everything. But, you know, people walk into a room really at a normal engagement event and they go, where's my house and where's the change? So it sounds like you're really customizing that experience for people as well.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the most recent ones we've rolled out are the Hololens, which is the holographic experience. So at the events, you can actually put this on your head, and as soon as you flip it down, there'll be a 3D model right in front of you that you can engage with in your own space, and we can still see each other. So there's virtual reality where you're essentially in the model, and then there's augmented reality like this, where the model is there with you, and then you can still have key conversations with subject matter experts about air quality or about whatever's, you know, important to you, and experience the model, talk to the person, and really sort of bridge that gap, because, you know, people only get frustrated, in my opinion, with the product whenever they can't understand it. So it's just an educational piece. So, and again, because of my background with theme parks and stuff, and I come from a place where, you know, there's 180 different languages going on at any given time, you can always assume no one's really going to understand it verbally. So that's why we do these visual tools specifically. It has come up in the past too, where, for instance, people that are hearing impaired can really engage with it, but just by touching it, doing a slider back and forth, or putting this on, really understanding it. And it sort of breaks down those barriers, indigenous communities, all the rest of it, and language barriers that we sort of hit in multiple languages. I think the portals are Google translated, so by default it's 8 or 10 or 15 different languages anyway. But the visual is really a place you can get into. Our next step is audio, so we're working on that as well.
Oh, very cool. You just have to extend the bottom of that mask down, and we can take it out in COVID times even.
Yes, that's right. That is,
digital engagement in a pandemic. I like it. So if I was wearing that mask, Aaron, or looking through those glasses, how would I provide feedback?
Well, there's a couple different ways. So in the virtual reality space, we have, again, sort of hand controllers that you essentially point and click and you tap it, just like you would do on the website, just like a traditional survey. But these things are floating in 3D, right? So if you put on the headset and you see the, you know, ventilation stacks for the new tunnel that's going to be built, and you want to say something about it, you can essentially tap on that. It pops up with a little screen, and you can say I like it, or you can air tap or air type. You can actually record your answer into it as well, and tell the team word for word why or what your question is about those issues. So it's across all the devices, and then of course we track everything on our back end system. We build called Community Analytics, which ties into Consultation Manager, and all the rest of it it's a full CRM system. So then you know who's come in, what they've viewed, what they've looked at, and where the questions are. So ultimately you can, from a comm standpoint, you can then pivot and target your message and make it appropriate for the next stream that goes out.
Very cool. So visualize, experience, and provide informed feedback.
That's it.
Yeah, very cool. Hey, you just mentioned Consultation Manager. Do you have an integration with those guys?
We do. We have a full API. Ours is an open API, so we can connect into any existing technology. However, obviously in the space that we're in, Consultation Manager, we have a lot of crossover in our clients. Our government clients, they use them a lot. So the idea is that you don't have to have another thing to log into. That's the whole point. Make it as easy as possible. So again, in the before times, pre-COVID days, we have a door knocking tool where you can go out. And the idea is you walk up to the address, you can see what they've done. There was a phone call, there was an email, they came to an event, and then you go knock on the door. So again, you know what you're getting yourself into, but that information that is gathered feeds straight into Consultation Manager. So there's no rewriting anything. It tracks where you go. So again, if you're canvassing a street, it'll know every house that you did. You'll be able to see that on the map, and then share that information out as needed.
That's great. I often talk about designing a system, the kind of system that you need as an organization to maintain engagement. So I love that you're actually tracking every single way that you're engaging with people, and that these creative ways to collect feedback from people are actually feeding into your understanding of your relationship with that stakeholder and addressing the issues that they're raising. That's really great to hear. So, like, why, Aaron? Like, you know, this all sounds so super cool, and we've heard a little bit about your cool journey. I mean, how do you go from NASA to theme parks to this? Like, there must have, what was the motivation?
Yeah, well, like I said, I've sort of always been into the tech and then the tech ideas. I had a driving simulator school back in the States as well. We're doing that now ourselves to train people from an educational standpoint. But I think ultimately it's about giving the people the opportunity to have their say. So, you know, where I come from, the States originally, and the consultation doesn't happen there. You know, it's we're building that, you know, like it move, but that's it. That's their consultation. There is no consultation. So I'm fascinated by the fact that A, you know, people are listened to, and B, people are interested in what's going on. You know, they really, you know, it's really empowering to have your say on that project. And, you know, we've been around for, you know, not terribly long, 6 years or whatever, but we've been through projects that have gone from inception all the way through delivery, through construction. And, you know, because the tools are there, we have legacy data where we can look back and say, look, the government went out with this and it said, here's the corridor. Okay. Here's 8 options. Pick your favorite. Now let's whittle it down to 4. Now here's one that's going to be released. And we've been tracking that all through time. So we know the government talks to the people and say, yep, 80% of the people like this option, and that's the one we're going with, which again, to me, coming from a place that doesn't really do that is quite fascinating. And I just think, to me, also the most important thing is time. So I'm all obsessed with time. I think that, you know, please don't, it's all about like making the most of the moment. And I think if you can save as much time as possible and get that information, you're going to feel better about it.
We've only got so much capacity to participate, right? So that's why it's great to be designing with the user in mind. Yep. So in that, like, having gone through all these experiences with engagement, and you talked about some of the offline experiences as well, what do you think the role of technology is in community engagement? Because for a long time, people were really like, oh, it's all social media or it's all online engagement. But what you've got a much more comprehensive view of how technology can support engagement from like visualizing, experiencing, you know, even now in the data analytics space. Like, you know, how would you sum up the role of technology in community and stakeholder engagement?
I think it's critical. I think that you need to be on the forefront of technology to feel relevant, for one. And I think the reason we help governments specifically and work with the federal government, state and locals, just to say, you know, it gives the stakeholders and the community sense that, you know, the government is actually engaged and not just handed a piece of paper. And I think also as technology moves on and, you know, when people want to have their say, I think, you know, obviously the greatest generation people and the boomers, they know how to do that already. The millennials and younger, they're already online doing it. So it's that middle gap. They sort of the Gen X, Gen Ys who, you know, once they realize they can actually have a say on some things, they're going to want to do that. And you can't really step, to me, backwards. You know, the genie's sort of out of the bottle now with tech. Everyone has it. Everyone's got the phones. Everyone's got, you know, 5-6 years ago, if I had that interactive map, you know, or 10 years ago, if I had an interactive map, it would just be some sort of weird futuristic idea, but everyone has it in their pocket now. So it needs to work. Technology, and especially in the comm space, needs to work as simple as it is on your phone. So all those tools and all those things that apply to your phone should be within the comm space itself, just to make it as easy for people as possible. I think technology makes it easier. I mean, they're not just gimmicks, you know, and the idea is that if you can engage with people online or, you know, on the computers themselves, then we have the higher end tech to go to those events, to those conferences, to the virtual events. What I'm sitting in now behind me is a virtual engagement room that we've created just because of the you know, COVID happening, to say, hey, well, look, we still want to present these tools, but how do we do it in an engaging way? I think that's there because people are used to it. Everyone has it, and it's really just expected. I mean, if you received a paper notification in the mail, like, you know, I don't know, what year is it? Like, why are we using paper? You know, I mean, there's a whole host of reasons to not use it. But, you know, to me, it's about not, you know, if I had the piece of paper, I don't know who's used it, what they've actually seen. None of that's trackable. You don't know if your message is even reaching the right people. I think we've moved beyond the state where it was just a box tick to say, yep, we've engaged. Like, there needs to be actual, you know, value behind that and actual data and analytics behind it. And that's what we're doing.
It certainly sounds like you make it more accessible and entertaining. engagement. So, you know, and you know, the example that you gave before of getting less comments, most people would say that's actually not a success in engagement. But as you say, it means that people understand the changes and are more accepting of them because they've comprehended them. It makes sense to them. They can see where they fit in, and they don't have to ask as many questions, which then reduces the overhead, really.
Yep.
There's a lot of people investing into engagement, both inside government and outside government, but not really struggling to get the answers that they're looking for, I think. And that can be really frustrating and have a big impact on trust as well. So I think it sounds like you're doing a great job of reducing some of those issues in government too. COVID, let's talk COVID. And, you know, this is, you said, we've got no excuse now. We certainly have no excuse now. I mean, people are either choosing to be home or being told to be home right now. What are some of the changes that you're seeing in the community engagement industry as a result of COVID? And, you know, I guess, where do you see the practice going now that digital is becoming more common?
Yep, absolutely. So I think that COVID obviously, you know, it's sort of thrown a wrench in the traditional engagement methods, which we've been trying to do, quite frankly, since our inception anyway, is to say, look, there's probably a better way to do this, probably a faster and easier way to reach people. And now that the hand has been forced. So I think ultimately, you know, once people wrap their heads around it and understand that they can communicate through the computer properly, and it's not, you know, it's just not this abstract idea. They're open to it. They're willing and engaging. And like I said, behind me there is the virtual engagement room. We've released some of those. We're doing some for Sydney Metro West and a whole host of others. WestConnect's M8 has a big virtual event, so they couldn't do the traditional ribbon cutting, so we made a virtual version of that. You can go in there, you could see people standing around the tunnel opening. There's the educational centers, and it just, again, it sort of opens up that communication. It uses the tech, which luckily for us anyway, we've been sort of gearing ourselves towards anyhow. But it opens it up. So it doesn't mean that obviously the actual physical engagement rooms are gone. They might be for the foreseeable future potentially. But the point is you can hop into this virtual room anytime you want. You go daytime, you get a daytime scene. You go nighttime, you get a nighttime scene. Just to feel a bit more inclusive, you can turn on some audio. Again, sort of theme parky sort of stuff, but you can turn on some audio and it sounds like you're in the room. You can put on a headset, that sort of thing. And each person is a little dot. You can click on the person and jump into a meeting like we're having now. It could just be a live chat between you and the subject matter experts. And again, to me, even just in the past of that time it takes to wrangle up all those people, hire the venue, get all the stands set up, all that material that's printed, that's used once, twice, 3 times, maybe if you're lucky, you know, and getting just the logistics of pulling that all together. Now you can do this in the virtual space. It can be done any time of day, any day or night, and the people aren't, you know, they don't miss out. Again, it's making it easier for the stakeholder and the consumer. Instead of saying, okay, Saturday morning at 10 a.m., great, it's a bright sunny day, but I got to go because I care. I got to go to this event. That's not really user-friendly in my opinion. I mean, it should be available to you all the time. So again, the virtual engagement rooms that we do is they're always open, they're always up. You click on an expert, you can hear a little video from the subject matter. Maybe they're live, you'll get a little flash saying this person's now live. You can talk to them or have a chat. So I think, again, it's just an evolution of using the technology to bridge those gaps. And now, again, everyone can use it regardless of you know, proximity to the project, anywhere obviously on the planet. It breaks down any kind of barriers. I've been to public consultations where it's like only steps getting up into the consultation. That's, you know, that's not, from an accessibility point, that's not right. We're here, you know, sky's the limit. And really it's the technology, to me, has finally caught up to what we've always wanted to do, in my opinion. And now anything's possible.
I think we've all stood in an empty room and waited to see if anyone else was going to walk through the door at a community engagement session as well. So I love that it's accessible to everybody, including people who are dropping their kids off at sport on the weekends. You know, they can always just tune in when it suits them. So, and fun. It sounds like you're doing some fun stuff with the lighting and the sound.
Yeah, you got to make it an experience, you know, and people will remember it. And that's the whole thing. They'll remember the project because, again, they got this. They remembered they received something in the mail or whatever it is. They'll remember that project. And I think with the virtual rooms especially, I mean, you know, it gives you the really opportunity to change it up any point in time. And then the next event, you could just change people, change whatever you want. But the key there, too, is that everything is tracked. So, again, it clicks into our analytics system. So, you know, who was looked at, where they went, where they spent their time, as opposed to someone standing with a clicker or trying to then later remember, I talked to 15 people, talked to 20 people. It again all turns into Consultation Manager or into our CRM. So you can do a little sign in on the way in, so you know that person was there, how much time they've spent. So it's all about tracking it, so you know what's going on.
I like the idea of tracking, because then you really understand what people care about, you know, and how much people have engaged in the process. And I guess, are we getting their top of mind opinions, or are they actually considering the information that's being presented to them as well?
Yep.
So I really like the where this is going. What do you think is the role of engagement in representative democracy? We're at a really interesting point in history with this pandemic, and you know, the role of government, engagement's changing. Where do you see the role of engagement in this and the relevance of representative democracies in the 21st century?
Yeah, well, that's a heavy one, but no, it's good. I think, again, I'm a true believer in giving people a voice and really allowing them to have their say, so you know what people are truly thinking. I think it's critical, and to be honest with you, it's nothing new. It's just that we're using the tech now to do that. You know, where it's pen to paper and trying to, you know, taking months and months to collate the information or see who's voted for who and what and what. Now it's in real time, and I think that's a real advantage personally. And I think you can really gauge the actual sentiment of the people. Now, again, using the tools that we have, we can augment some things out of there. So if, you know, one IP address or one person's adding, you know, 1,000 comments, we know that that's not really a real thing, or we can comment that out. So we know. So again, in the traditional business sense, or in the theme park world, we would know, okay, well, these things, people really want to see this ride. They really want Jurassic Park, but they really don't care about Twister or whatever it is. You know, same sort of rules apply. Like, oh, they're really, really keen on air quality. They're worried about the flooding. Let's now talk to those people and engage with it. So it's more of a, you know, it's bottom down, it's bottom up, I'm sorry, it sort of guides that conversation. So that, again, if you're at the top or you're at the government level, you can say, well, we sort of know what these people are going to be asking us about. Let's prepare for that and have a way with that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's critical. You know, to me, the more the merrier. It's one planet. We sort of get that now. It's all one spot. There's nowhere else to go. Let's work together on this stuff. And I think digital tools make that happen.
It's great to hear you say that, Aaron. You know, it definitely sounds like you're increasing transparency of these projects and providing like a couple of really unique ways for engagement professionals to both present information and collect information from people who come in and participate, and then even find out, have they reached a representative sample of the population by the sounds of things as well. So great to see you working with other products on the market. I love that we're seeing more of these integrated suites of tools, because I think no one solution can solve everybody's needs. So
yeah, that's right. And I think it's a stronger together type of mentality. I want to work with everybody all around, because, you know, ultimately it elevates all of us. So, you know, more than happy to work with any company at anywhere, any point in time, for sure.
Great to hear that, and great to work with you, and really excited to see you at the Engagetech Spectrum on the 28th of July. Thanks again for your support, Aaron. Really good to see you today.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. Thanks so much.
Thanks for watching, everyone. You can reach me at amelia@engage2.com.au. Aaron, do you want to give us your contact details?
Yep, you can find us online, spatialmedia.com.au, and we can go from there. Thanks so much.
Let's do some awesome stuff together. Thank you.